Your infrared thermometer is lying to you. You think it works by reading the temperature of an object's surface, but that's not actually true. Infrared thermometers measure the infrared radiation coming off of a surface, emitted or reflected, in which you're not reading the true heat. You're reading reflected infrared instead. The sample area the thermometer reads depends on the distance you read from. It reads a 1-inch area at 12 inches, a 2-inch area at 24 inches, and a 3-inch area at 36 inches. It shows you on the side of the thermometer. And if the surface is shiny or reflective, that reading will be completely wrong. Take this copper pipe. I filled it with ice water and let it sit. It's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. If I read the foil tape I put on it, it's not reading the surface. It's reading what's reflecting off of it. Probably my t-shirt, which is room temperature. The raw copper is a little better, but not much. It's still not reading 32 degrees Fahrenheit. If we look at it under a thermal imager, you can actually see it's reading my reflection, the infrared my body is releasing through my clothes. So how does an infrared thermometer actually work? All objects with a temperature above absolute zero emit infrared radiation, or light. Infrared thermometers detect this infrared light coming off of an object, but not all surfaces emit heat the same way. Some materials absorb and radiate heat well, while others reflect infrared instead of emitting it. This is called emissivity, with values ranging from 0, a shiny mirror, to 1, a complete black body. For pipes, emissivity varies depending on the surface finish, such as polished versus oxidized. A dull finish with higher emissivity lets heat escape more easily, leading to a warmer surface temp. And it's why your infrared thermometer struggles with shiny surfaces like copper pipe or foil tape. They reflect infrared and confuse the sensor. But a matte finish like skin, wood, or rubber have high emissivity, meaning they actually give off the heat they contain. Armed with our new knowledge about emissivity, I took the same copper pipe and wrapped the top with a matte black tape. I filled it with 118 degree water. Our infrared thermometer, I'll start at the bottom. The shiny foil tape reads a reflection. The bare copper's not much better. But if you look at the matte black tape section, boom, the thermal radiation is clearly seen and can properly be read by the infrared thermometer sensor. Through a thermal imager, you can clearly see the section where the matte tape is. You're actually getting the proper temperature reading. For fun, I did the same thing with a lit candle. The left side has the matte black tape, the right side has a foil tape. Look at it through a thermal imager. You can see that the glass and black tape are the same temperature. You can clearly see my reflection in the foil tape. That's the temp it's reading. Pretty cool. I changed the setting on my thermal imager and you can clearly see the infrared radiation bouncing off the ceramic tiles next to the candle. That's infrared radiation. Now that we know what it does, let's learn how it does it. And this got me thinking. I could build my own infrared thermometer to understand this properly. So I went online and searched for an infrared thermometer sensor module for Arduinos, which is a programmable microcontroller. Found one and ordered it. Here it is, everything we need for the project. The sensor came with separate header pins, so we gotta solder those on so we can hook it up. Got it clipped in my helping hands, now we just need to solder the pins to the PCB pads. Not the best solder job, but it'll do. Here's a quick look at how hot the soldering iron's getting. Woo. So Arduino is a programmable microcontroller. This is a solderless breadboard so we can connect to the sensor module. The module's got 4 pins, 3.3 volts DC power, ground, serial data, and serial clock. The sensor module uses I2C serial communication to send the data to the Arduino. Here's a quick look at the sensor and why we needed the pins. To plug it into the solderless breadboard and connect jumper wires to it. Here's the code to get the data from the infrared sensor and display it. The sensor itself converts infrared light into an analog varying voltage proportionate to that infrared light. The module then takes that analog voltage and converts it into a binary digital signal that it transmits over the serial communication bus. Kind of like Morse code. It's a specific pattern or protocol that the Arduino microcontroller can understand. In the serial monitor, it'll display 4 values. Ambient temperature in Celsius, in Fahrenheit, and then the object we're measuring in Celsius and Fahrenheit. So the module gets a base reading of the room and compares it to the object directly in front of the sensor. It amazes me every time that this works. Then I used another software called Processing to take that data and create a visualization. A window that displays both temperatures, generates a gradient at the bottom, with blue being the lowest temp of the sensor and yellow being the highest. The square box behind the text also changes color to match the scale's current reading. I heated up an old butter knife, letting the carbon build up on the surface. What did we learn? Shiny metal reflects infrared, but a matte black carbon should read just fine. And there it is. Look at the color change. We just created our own rudimentary thermal imaging camera. This is how a thermal imager works, but instead of one square of color, it does this with a full image resolution, recreating the infrared signature of the object. Now we know how an infrared thermometer and infrared thermal imager work, and how to get proper temperature readings and understand emissivity. I'm Professor Butler, a 20-year HVAC service technician. If you made it this far, thank you. How about giving me a follow and put a fire emoji in the comments? Thanks for watching.